go. So welcome again, everyone. Thank you so much for your patience. We have a fantastic author that is with us today, and we're so thrilled to have her. I do want to introduce her really quick. Kim Ann is a, hi. Kim Ann is a 12-time best-selling and multi-award-winning author whose fun, imaginative books help young readers develop a love of reading. She has published many children's books, including Ninja School Rules and 10 Little Sandpipers, as well as the popular Ruby the Rainbow Witch, Goldie the Puppy, Go on Vacation, and Quick Affirmations book series. And here she is right now. Ms. Kim Ann, please take it away. Thank you so much and welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. Welcome, everybody. So I'm author Kim Ann, as you heard. We're welcome to use the chat, and I'm going to do Q&A later. But first, if there's anyone in the audience that is an aspiring author, if you could pop that in the chat for me, I would love to know that. And then I have a little riddle for you. How do you know that someone's an author? Don't worry, they'll tell you. Okay, so anyway. So I'm going to be sharing my screen in a second with you guys. Let me just, if I have the power here. Let's see, share screen. Yes, I do. So everyone can see that? Yes? Okay. So inspiring imagination. The reason that this talk is titled Inspiring Imagination is because my own tagline is I feel I write fun, colorful, imaginative books for kids. And I was watching the little video that they were presenting here, and I see that you've had some authors in your group or authors that have spoken to you before. So I think, probably everyone has probably had a different way that they got here. But I would bet that, most people, it's just that they've had a love of writing for their whole lives, right? So there's a little picture of me. I actually just got home from a second mermaid event at that exact spot from that photo. So I had a fun afternoon. So who I am. I am a mother of two. I have a 17-year-old daughter that'll be graduating high school next month. And I have a 19-year-old special needs son who is almost 20. I'm a wife for 20 years. I'm an author of 25 books with the 26th book being illustrated right now. I'm a coach for others that want to go into writing and publishing. I help people with marketing. Sometimes they'll reach out to me and they'll be like, Kim, I want to write a book and I don't know what to do. And I guide them. So I do that. And I'm also a publisher. So when I first decided that I was going to write books, I decided to be an indie published author. And I started my own publishing company called Lucky 4 Press. And so I've published all my own books as well as an affirmation series that I co-authored. I'll talk about that in a little bit later. Okay, so once upon a time, Kim, how did you start writing? Well, I've been a writer forever. I say that my first published book was when I was 9 years old. I was in the school library. It was made out of construction paper and it had a ribbon binding and it was a book of poetry. So I've always enjoyed reading and I've always enjoyed writing. I ended up having my son Aiden, who's almost 20, was born a 25-week preemie. So he was a 1-pound baby and he spent 143 days in the NICU. And I wasn't able to hold him. He was so fragile that a long time was going by and they weren't letting us hold him. And I was eager to connect with him. So I thought, I'm spending all these days sitting here in the ICU. I went to the Dollar Tree. I bought a bunch of books and put them in a little basket. And then I sat and I read. I opened the little port in his isolette and I read. And I did that all the time so he could hear my voice. Well, guess what happened? He has grown up and he still loves picture books and he still loves when mom reads them. So at some point in my career, I decided that I was going to write children's books. So yes, he's 19 years old. He attends a special abilities cluster. My son is nonverbal and non-mobile, but he still has that love of books and Elmo. So a little about my writing history. As I told you, I always had a love of writing and poetry. Everybody's got a story. So on top of having a special needs son, in 2006, my husband's police officer, he was shot in the line of duty. And he was close to fatally injured. So he was in a medically induced coma for 5 days. And the reason I tell you that is he's 100% miraculously recovered. But during that time, I was going through a lot and I was journaling. And I was not, editing myself. I was just journaling my emotions. Here I had a special needs son that needed all my care. And then, my husband. And at one point in time, my husband was on the 7th floor in the adult ICU, and my son was on the 2nd floor. And that's a true story. I spent 16 days running up and down the stairs between the two of them. So when my husband got better, I was interviewed for a magazine article for the Long Beach Memorial magazine. And the editor took me to lunch and she's like, Kim, I want to interview you about, the care that your husband received. And I said to her 2 things I said during that chat. We were there like 3 hours. One thing I said to her was, I can save you a lot of time because I journal. And the other thing I said to her is, someone should write a story about my son because he's amazing and he's a superhero. So from that conversation, a couple of things happened. After the interview, she asked me if I would send her any of my writing. And I said, well, I'll send it to you, but it's never been edited. I don't edit myself when I'm writing, and I'd suggest that to you as well. When you're writing, let the thoughts come out. So I sent her an email. It attached a file that had my thoughts in it. She called me back the next day and she said, Kim, I have to tell you that I had to wait till everybody left the office. She's like, you are such a talented writer that I cried through the whole thing. She's like, have you ever thought about interviewing people and doing magazine articles? And I said, no, I haven't. And she said, would you like to write a story about your son? And my husband said, say yes. And I was like, I don't know if I can do that. And he's like, say yes. And so for the next 7 years, I wrote stories, medical stories, medical miracles, and interviewed families for the Long Beach Memorial magazines. And so that was when I first started to be published. And I published under my married name. And so, those are out there. And so sometime around, probably 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I said, I think I want to write kids' books. I want to write kids' books. So I went to a 3-day conference where I sat there and I tried to absorb everything I could. And at the end, when we sat in the room and they brought the authors up on the stage, the authors, the people from the publishing companies and the agents were like, yeah, it's really hard, and you can submit your manuscripts and they'll sit in a pile like this big, and we might read it in 2 years and we might not. And I thought, well, that was a terrible way to end that conference, but I decided to kind of put it on hold. And then when I started to see people publishing books, people that I knew they were self-publishing, I decided to learn everything there was about self-publishing. And so I did. There's a screenshot of some of my books. Okay. And so, as I said, fun, colorful, imaginative books that inspire a love of reading. It's one thing that I don't like to hear from people is my kid doesn't like to read. All right. And oh yeah, he loves this and loves that, but doesn't like to read. I just feel they haven't found the right books. And I know someone famous said something similar to that, but I totally believe it. So I write stories about ninjas and dinosaurs and mermaids and unicorns and elves and, things that I think would inspire kids to read. Okay. So a lot of questions I get is, Kim, how do you get inspired to write a book, right? And where do your ideas come from? So these are my books, the Go on Vacation series. The Go on Vacation series has 7 books in it. The first book I wrote was called Where Do Elves Go on Vacation? And if anybody has a Facebook account, they'll know that after Christmas, everybody posts about their elf going back to the North Pole, right? I know you guys know what I'm talking about. And so, I sat back and I was like, that's a really good question. Now that they're going back to work and the kids are going back to school. I wonder if elves ever go on vacation. It was a random thought I had. I wrote that book in 3 days. I put it out there and I had all these authors saying to me, what a great idea. I should have thought of that. And the first thing I said to myself is I better hurry up and write a whole bunch more because people are going to steal my idea. So I immediately wrote Where Does Santa Go on Vacation? And several from there, like I'll show you, it's like this is like Where Do Mermaids Go on Vacation? I live in Huntington Beach, so this is a really popular one. I have unicorns, dinosaurs, pirates. I might be missing some, but as you get it, they kind of over the years I've had people say like, oh, you need a dinosaur book, or you need this, or it's usually little kids. I had a friend of mine's daughter said to me, you know, there needs to be a purple dinosaur with blue polka dots. And you know what? She got one. So it's on the cover of the book. So that's where that kind of came from. Goldie the Puppy series is a 3-book series about my actual dog, Goldie. I have 3 dogs, rescues, but Goldie is a multi-poo. And I didn't plan on writing a book about my dog. There's a lot of dog books, but man, was she a quirky dog. So she had this infatuation with socks. Like it didn't matter. Like if you were to sit on the couch, she'd pull your sock off. If you were like, put your socks down on the bed and you're putting one on, she'd get the other one and be gone. And so I wrote a story called Goldie the Puppy and the Missing Socks. And it became like a bestseller on Amazon. It has like 300 and something reviews on it, positive reviews on it. And then I decided I did another book about her training. And then I did another book when she turned 1. I did it about her birthday spa day. So that's where that idea came from. Ruby the Rainbow Witch series is actually my very first book is Ruby the Rainbow Witch, A Picture Perfect Rainbow Day. And that came about for a couple of reasons. But primarily, again, on Facebook, a friend of mine had a daughter who was like 2 years old, who was still wearing her Halloween costume way past Halloween. But one day she posted the cutest picture and she had these rainbow leggings on. And I got chills just saying that too, because it was so cute. Like I said, oh my gosh, that needs to be a book character. And I'm going to write a book. And that was the first book that I wrote. It took me about 9 months to get it, out there and learning all of the things I had to learn. Now I can get a book out much faster, but that was the longest one. And it's an alliteration book. It's super fun. Like Ruby the Rainbow Witch and her swirly whirly wand. And it's alliteration and really fun. And it's about rainbows and candy and being kind, so I think it's a really sweet book. And there's a sequel to that was She Lost Her Swirly Whirly Wand. And it was found by Lollipop the Leprechaun. And then Meet the Amber Fairies, which is the fairies that kept the Candyland alive. So those are those books. Ninja School Rules. So my actual daughter, Kayla, is about to test for her 4th degree black belt in Taekwondo. She's been with Master Vo for 10 years. And one day, Master Vo said to me, and he always believes in like having a strong body and a strong mind. And he was buying books for me, like paperback books for me, and he was giving them to the students. And so he goes one day, ma'am, he came back from a conference. He was like, ma'am, I think we should write our own book. I said, okay, what are we going to write it about? He goes, it should be about, the good parts of Taekwondo and what kids learn. I said, okay. So the 5 tenets of Taekwondo became a book. It's called, this is a sample one I have, Ninja School Rules. And these 5 kids are actual children. And it's a social emotional learning book about this character here. The red ninja, his name is Lucas. He's a real kid, great family. Lucas aspired to grow up and be a ninja like his dad, because his dad does Taekwondo too, but he lacks self-confidence. So with the help of his friends and instructors, he learned the ninja school rules in the ninja way and started to believe in himself, have respect for other people, be kind to others. And that's where that book came from. And it has like some really, like my daughter is a ninja in the book, like with her curly cute hair right there. And so it's a really fun book, and it's a little bit, it has a nice lesson to it, as it says, social emotional learning book. And 10 Little Sandpipers. That was just a fun book. I'm sitting in Bolsa Chica out on the beach. It's like 6:30 in the morning. My daughter's surfing with her friends. And this was before she got her license. And I was sitting there And I was watching this little bird in the sand, and he would run towards the water, then he would run back, and and I thought, well, that needs to be a counting book. So it is. So 10 Little Sandpipers. And it's factually accurate. I worked with the Bolsa Chica Conservancy when I was writing it. It's in the Long Beach Aquarium and in the Discovery Cube Museum. So I'm really proud of this book. The next book that's coming out is called 10 Little Starfish. And it's written, again, factually accurate so that it can be kind of a companion book with this. Now, I saw in one of your videos that the woman was talking about, she had little plushies. So I have a plushie for this book. So that's a custom plushie I have made. And so that's a sandpiper. There's not a lot of sandpipers out there, right? Okay, and so my quick affirmation series, I have a co-author on that. That was the first time I had done that. I met this author, Yobi. We met in an author group with 50,000 other authors. My mermaid book has an Asian mermaid. And her name, it's actually after a friend of mine's daughter, Bailey. And Yobi, she's a preschool educator in New York City, and she writes all books about Asian culture and Asian adventures. And so one day she said, Kim, would you come speak in my Facebook group? Let's do a live. You can talk about your book. And then we became friends. So we started helping each other. I was helping her with some Amazon ads. She was helping me with some other things, getting into schools. And on one call on a Sunday night, it was like, we should write a book together. What are we going to write about? I'm like, we should write about affirmations. So we did. And we wrote, our first book was Quick Affirmations for Super Busy Women, because we both are. And then Yobi said, well, shouldn't we write one for men? Because our husbands are really busy too, and they're supportive. So we got the men, and then we have teens and kids. And then this one, the children one, is our little fun one. So this is for like ages 3 to 6. And they're just simple like affirmations, and all of the illustrations are from all of my other 25 books. So this is really fun. And it has a custom plush too, since I know that other person talked about her plushies. So I didn't make custom plush for everything. I have an elf, and I have like 4 custom plushies. So because when you print your books like overseas they call it offset printing, and making plushies and stuff, it can be very expensive. So today, I am a best-selling author. I have multiple awards I've won on different books. The Ruby the Rainbow Witch is a Mom's Choice award-winning series. And I have, like Purple Dragonfly and Indies Today, I have all kinds like that. It's really neat. I've sold over 100,000 units worldwide. That's ebooks, paperbacks, hardcovers, audiobooks. And now I do speaking engagements like this. Book signings. Like I said, I was at an event this afternoon with the mermaids, and I was signing books. I did a story time. School visits, I do like full-on assemblies. So when someone approaches me for a school visit, they get really like a presentation. It's like 45 minutes long. I interact with the kids. I tell them about myself, similar to what I'm telling you guys. We read a story. I tell them my bad dad jokes, and we do Q&A. So it's about 45 minutes, and I usually do like 2 assemblies when I'm there. And my new title, I just told you, was 10 Little Starfish. Okay, so I talk really fast, but I love the question part anyway. And so I want to look in the chat here because let's see. So only one aspiring author. Oh, here, just in case you want to know, I'm author Kim Ann is my website.com, and I'm info at author to Kim Ann if you wanted to shoot me a message. So I'm going to stop sharing this because I want to see people. Okay. And do we never turn on our monitors? Cameras. Okay. So only one aspiring author. That's it. I find that hard to believe because when I'm yes, I'll share my invite. Whenever I do events, it's so funny. So I do a lot of events. Huntington Beach has the Artisan Fair, and I'll be down there for like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And people will come over and they'll be like, oh, oh, it's so nice to meet you. I'm a fellow author. I get that a lot. Or, oh, I've always wanted to write a book. Oh, I didn't send that to everybody. Okay, so if you could I put them in the wrong spot. So I get that a lot. So I think like everybody kind of has a story in them. Okay. So, I mean, I would like to open it to Q&A for you guys and, you know, if you want to show your faces, but if not, I'm new here, so. But pick my brain. Yeah, I'm on book 26. I've been publishing since first book I published in 2019. So I know a lot about that and I'm here to help.
So we have a question here. What do I need to do to be self-published is the question.
Yes. So to be self-published is a lot easier than being traditionally published. So basically, though, you become your own publishing person, right? Like you don't have to be a publishing company when you first put out your own first book. This is a little tip though. If you do self-publish, maybe get a DBA. So like kind of think like I'm Lucky 4 Press LLC. But when I put out my first book, I did a DBA as Lucky 4 Press because I didn't know how many books I was going to write. But what happens is if you don't do that and you purchase your ISBNs, which is, you know, your book, your international standard book number that you get, if you purchase those under yourself and not your DBA, when people look you up on Amazon, it'll say self-published or independently published. And unfortunately, there's a stigma with that, right? You know, there's a lot of self-published authors that work really hard and put out really nice products, right? Like really nice. But there's some people out there that, you know, they write it, they don't use an editor, they think they get an iPad and they're going to, you know, do their own illustrations or they use clip art and they self-publish. And then that kind of makes, you know, other people think that self-published books are not quality. But I'm here to tell you that we work with amazing editors. We work with professional illustrators and we can put out books that are just as beautiful. I have books in Barnes and Noble too, you know, so anyway. So what I would say is, you know, just maybe a DBA. And then you kind of would have to do everything yourself, Lucilla, like after you wrote your book, you need to find an editor, professional children's book editor, and you'd have to find an illustrator. Maybe you want to join some of these groups on Facebook, or maybe you want to get a coach. But there's lots of free resources out there. You guys can, I mean, you go on YouTube, don't, you know, some of those, I don't give you the best advice, but like there are some quality ones out there that will kind of give you some guidance. When I first started, I found Evie, and she has some great free videos on there. You know, so that's one way you could do it. But I would just say, don't cut corners. Illustrators are expensive, and some authors choose to do like Kickstarter campaigns, or you know, they fund it themselves, and then you just have to hustle, you know, and market so that you can make the money back. Which book was your favorite to write and why? Oh, yeah. Okay. So Ruby the Rainbow Witch, my first book, obviously is going to have a special place, you know, in my heart, because I was learning the whole process at that time. But I would say that the way that 10 Little Sandpipers has taken off, and, you know, I worked with a great editor on that. It's like the rhyme and meter. There's actually a song, like you can completely sing that book and it's flawless. So I think that was more fun because it was just like an idea. I was watching a little bird and I turned it into something. Favorite children's book, I am still a Dr. Seuss fan. As I said, my son still likes Green Eggs and Ham. And Eric Carle, The Very Hungry Caterpillar. Those are probably my two. How long did it take you to become a best-selling author? Okay. So when you learn your way around, it's easier to become a best-selling author than when you don't learn your way around, right? I'm very good at Amazon. There's all kinds of things that go into your book. So not only do you have, you know, your illustrations and all of this stuff when you get ready to put it out there, like on Amazon or one of those other places, there's things in the back that's called metadata. All right, there's stuff in the back, like like the age it's for and what categories it's in and what kind of search terms would somebody use. And so when you get really good at those things, that shows your book more. And when your book gets shown more and more people buy it, that will trigger things like #1 bestseller, #1 new release, like those kinds of things. Okay.
Can I ask Kim, do you coach yourself? Do you coach future authors per se? Do you have a coaching session yourself?
I do coach, yes. I'm a one-on-one coach, and I also, Yobi and I will do groups together. Like we just finished doing a Kickstarter work group with 4 authors that are all going on to do Kickstarter campaigns. So yeah, we do coaching. Because I get people sometimes that, they're like, okay, well, now I have this, now what do I do with it? Right. Because, I know during the pandemic, everybody kind of saw all those videos. They were all on TikTok and everything and YouTube that was like, you can do a book, right? You just like go find, and I mean, it like sent shivers up my spine. It was like, find a book you like, right? Then like change the character. So if it's a book about a dog, write about a cat. And, and basically use some clip art out of Canva and make a book, you could do that, but it's not going to sell. So it's not really passive income like all of those videos were saying. You have to think about there's millions of books on Amazon, right? And so if someone goes on Amazon and they type in, dog book, what's going to come up? And the answer to that is books that already sell, those come up. People that are spending a lot of money on Amazon ads, those will come up. Books that Amazon feels like if someone looks at it, it will sell because they're in the business to make money, right? And they also pride themselves on customer experience. So are they going to show the book that someone put together by themselves, copying someone's story slightly or whatever, or using AI or something like that? Are they going to buy that book, or are they going to buy a book that Amazon is saying Amazon's choice and it has, 50 5-star reviews, right? All those things matter. Yeah, Very Hungry Caterpillar. I can recite that one. I can recite most books like that.
They're classics.
Yes.
How did you find your editor and your illustrator?
So when I first started, I went on like Freelancer and Fiverr, like most people do. And I had a good experience with the illustrator, not so good experience the first time I looked for an editor. So the first time I looked for an editor, I went on Fiverr, and maybe it was Freelancer. I think it was Freelancer. I posted a job, and this woman responded, and she said, "Oh yeah, and she had like a really fancy name for her business too, something like the right type, something like something like that caught my eye." And she said she was a ghostwriter and all this, and here I am, a new author. So I was like, okay. So she charged me a whole lot of money and changed like one word and told me that it was great. So I was okay with that. And then when I put out the second book in the Ruby series, I used a different editor. And when I saw what she did, I was like, wow. And then I asked her to go back, and I actually unpublished Ruby the Rainbow and fixed it and then republished it. So it's good to, if you can, join some author groups on Facebook. I mean, there's some that have, 50,000 people in them. And I also have a Facebook group called From Anonymous to Author. You guys want to join over there. And then, when you're looking for somebody, look for somebody that people are recommending, or, and some people like myself that coach, like we have a list of people that we've used that we like, so we can share that kind of thing with you. As far as the illustrator, like I said, I kind of lucked out. I went on Freelancer and I posted a job, and it basically was like, my first book, I'm like, oh, first time children's book author, looking for someone that can, do illustrations. And Ruby the Rainbow, which I didn't tell them it was a witch. I said, I'm looking for a 6-year-old little girl in a twirly dress with long curly hair. And then when I opened, I got like 20 responses. But when I opened up Nejla's, then I knew like she got me, and we've done all our books together. She's illustrated every book for me. So I really feel like I lucked out there. But again, the best way to find an illustrator is even to go on like Instagram and do hashtag illustrations, hashtag children's illustrator, any of those, even for editors, and then just kind of see what work they've done, right? And see if something that you like, or if you're in one of those groups, you can ask in there. But even if you went to one of the bookstores or you're on Amazon, just kind of searching around and caught your eye, most of those illustrators, even if they work for publishing houses, they still kind of do side gigs. They might be more expensive, but you can find those people. Instagram is a great place to look. Do I share my list? Well, my curated list. Maybe. There's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears going to.
Oh, I'm sure, for
weeding
sure.
out the people that have not done a great job and the people that do.
Right. I think it's the relationship too, right? That you kind of have to build yourself and kind of see what you're doing. And so, yeah. Any other questions? Oh, do you have any future career goals you want to accomplish?
So, I did a vision board this year. I don't know if you guys are into vision boards, let me know. But really what is on there is I want my books picked up by like Walmart or Target. Like I'm online on their websites, but I want to be like, have a box set, like Walmart exclusive. So those kinds of things are on they're on my vision board, and I see them. I'm also like really expanding into the education market as well. I have some cool things I'm working on that. So I won't stagnate. Like I've always got things I'm looking to do. Well, thank you, Peter. I'm glad. I talk fast, I know, but hopefully you guys got something out of it.
Very knowledgeable, and it's very inspirational for sure. And and I like how you have it's coming from real life, right? There's a story behind the story, and so I think that's why it's really relatable for children and adults. And so it's really inspiring. Yeah. Any other questions? I'm trying to think of some as well.
Like, what is your children's favorite book of yours? Okay, that's a good one. I'm trying to think which one Aiden likes the best. Pretty much, maybe even just like the Elves on Vacation or one of those. Because the interesting thing is when I write the manuscript, I like read it to him. And so if he smiles and he's like reaching for it, then I always say, I know it's going to be a winner. That's in one of my bios, and it's totally true. He doesn't need the pictures, but I think you guys can tell, just the way I'm presenting to you, that I have a lot of voice inflection and I'm very animated. And so that always works well for me too. It's not when you listen to someone read a book and it's like, the cat walked down the street, right? And I'm like, the cat walked down the street, there's a big difference. And, I do a lot of, like, I talk to little kids, but it's very genuine for me because that's how I talk to my son. That's how he enjoys his story. So I think I'm really glad the way that the stars aligned and that I get to do this now as a job. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Peter. But yes, you guys check out my website. I'm authorkiman.com. If anyone's in Huntington Beach area, sometimes I can be found down at the Huntington Beach Fair at the pier. Check me out or follow me on Instagram, Author Kim Ann, and I will always post where I am.
Any other questions for a wonderful author, Kim Ann? No. Let's see. I don't know if you're getting the questions personally or.
I got a couple.
Yeah. Okay.
And I did answer them when.
Okay.
What was your favorite children's book, and how long did it take to become a best-selling author?
Right. Any other questions, comments?
I think they want to get out of class early.
Oh, no, no, no. Oh, no, no, no. So make sure that, you check out her Instagram and her email address. I think she put it in the chat, info@authorkimann.com. Please check her out. I will be definitely purchasing some books that The Mermaid, and I mean, it's so relevant to San Diego, right? I think it's so relevant now and with children around us. And so, yeah. So I'm going to put in the chat some the survey for today. Please give us your input and questions that you might have that we can forward to you, Kim, and any other things on there. Again, thank you so much for your time, Kim, and thank you so much, everyone, for coming in. If you have questions, please stay back. Yeah, they have followers on LinkedIn. Are you on LinkedIn as well?
Even TikTok, though that's my most neglected.
So yes, follow her everywhere.
Follow me.
Yes, for sure. And hopefully we can have you back for a part 2 and more info and more questions along the way.
Maybe we can talk about marketing those books after you write them.
Perfect segue. Thank you so much, Kim, for coming in. And everybody, thank you so much for coming in, and hope to see you in the next one. Make sure you fill out the survey. Thank you so much.
Everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.